Assalamu alaikum. This is Sandira Amin, and I'm here presenting the Sunday Taleem on behalf of the Sisters of Masjidwdm Muhammad. If we could open with dua. A'udhu billahi minash shaitani rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladina an'amta alayhim. Ghayril maghdubi alayhim waliddallin. Welcome to the fourth Sunday of February, where we will be celebrating African American History Month with living history makers. And if you've been tuning in to our Sunday Taleem programs, you know that the first week we had the imams discussing the current state of the Houston Ummah and its growth from one masajid to 7 masajids in the Houston Metroplex. They spoke to the believers being regardful of the work yet to be done, and that we only receive what we work for, what we strive for. In the second week, we had the pioneers presenting and describing the foundation with which have been laid for the African American Muslims here in America. And then last Sunday, we had our youth, 2 young men, discussing the importance of cultivating excellence in their lives, and it's linked to the growth of our ummah. So today, though, we're going to be highlighting sisters, African American Muslim women, currently doing the work of the Ummah from around the country. Our stories have often been omitted from a lot of historical renditions of the African American Muslim experience. Our goal today, though, is to tell these stories and to inspire you into movement, as if in a race towards all that is good. It also serves as a reminder to the impact that women have had on the growth and development of community life here in America. If we go back through our history, we will find that sisters have made up and still make up a majority of the percentage of masjid planning boards and teams, and their leadership in our masajids is paramount to our future success. We've asked each sister that we will be interviewing tonight this afternoon, we've asked each sister a series of questions related to their motivation, challenges, and rewards of living a life of servitude to the Ummah. And if after this presentation you feel motivated to move, then move into action, and we challenge you to do so. If you are a sister and you find that your city or local masjid does not have programming that supports the women sufficiently, then we recommend that you approach your masjid leadership and engage in a conversation with the leadership. Then simply go to work towards creating that program for the sisters in your area. So these are just the tip of the iceberg as it relates to sisters whom are currently making their mark and creating a legacy of excellence and having an everlasting impact on our future. So although we won't focus this Black History Month program on the Sojourner Truths, the Harriet Tubmans, or even the Oprah Winfreys, inshallah, we will become even more inspired to take up the helm after hearing from each sister. Each woman uses her education and skills to leave a legacy of beneficial knowledge to all the believers, men and women. And we'll each take them, and inshallah, we'll take them each steps closer to the Jannah. There's a hadith here on the screen that is narrated by Abu Huraira. He reported that the messenger of Allah said, when a human being dies, his deeds end, except for 3 things: ongoing charity, beneficial knowledge, and a righteous child who prays for him. Each of these sisters have lived a life of servitude, spreading beneficial knowledge amongst other things. So we will begin with Aisha K. Mustafa of the Muslim Journal. So as most of you know, Aisha is currently the editor of the Muslim Journal, and she has been for 32 years. She's the first, which is the first African-American newspaper. She's presented at international media conferences through her work with the Folklore Group, and she's been she was an inaugural speaker for Radio Islam, and currently works with the Mississippi Link newspaper as a writer. As you can see, many of her other accolades here in her bio At the bottom, it shows where she was named Muslim of the Year in 1994, and a street was named in her honor in New Medina. Now, hear from Sister Aisha in her own words about her life of servitude to the Ummah.
Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Thank you, sisters of masjidwdm Muhammad in Houston, for allowing me to be a part of your monthly Taleem for the Muslim African American women's participation. The questions that I asked: what motivated me to move into action to serve our community in the way that I do? What motivated me as a young Muslim coming into the fold of the Nation of Islam at that time, at 21 years old, was the dedication of those who were there already. I admired their tenacity. I admired how they worked together. I admired their commitment to build a nation. There's a saying among Muslims: anytime a Muslim comes into an area, they must work to make sure they leave it in better condition than they found it. For sure, the Muslim African American women left their communities in better shape than they found them, not only in reinforcing their own motivation in their own families, and as well as improving their own lives, but also improving the communities that they were a part in. The Nation of Islam was about dedication, and it was about trust. They trusted each other. They trusted that what they were doing would be beneficial for generations to come. They actually believed that the generations that were coming would benefit from the works that they were doing. What character traits are beneficial? Sometimes the best character trait is the willingness not to give up. Some people say you have to be smart enough to know when to walk away from something. But when you are dedicated, like to the Nation of Islam at that time, under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and then under his son, W.D. Muhammad, when you are dedicated to the movement, then you don't give up. You may get tired, you might take a rest, but if you are actually to the point where you can't achieve anymore, then you're looking for someone to carry on in your place. But you do not give up on the cause. What are some qualities? Of course, as Muslim women, as women in general, Allah clocked into us a nurturing nature. We are the ummi, are the ummah. So it is in our nature to want to take care of the weak, take care of those who are trying to find their way, to take care of our surrounding, to see that everything is provided for in a sense that the people who are doing the major work can do their jobs. The potential challenges are always there.
Baina Khalil, Camp Khalil. She's co-owner of the premier Muslim youth camp in the nation, Camp Khalil. And as an educator, she has the ability to use proven techniques to teach the young adults how to think for themselves and reach success. She and her husband married while they were young and attending college, and they started their organization shortly thereafter. She's currently living in Houston with her husband and family. So now we will hear from Baina around her service to the Ummah and her life of servitude that she's led.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Baina Khalil, and I am the co-founder of Camp Khalil Incorporated. I am honored to be a part of the Houston community, and I'm excited about this Taleem and the opportunity to share with the community, specifically all of our young adults, some insight into what the thought process was in deciding to be involved in community work, and sort of give them some understanding of how to shape their perspective now, so they can have long-term success personally, but also have long-term success with their families and inshallah, positively impact our community, our Islamic community, and our global community. So if I could give any advice to myself, if I could go back and think about something that was told to me, or some opportunity, right, that I may not have taken advantage of, or some concept that I may not have understood when I was first getting started. And that's the importance of delegating and empowering. I feel like when you're young, I know when I was very young, I had a lot of energy, and I always needed to be directed, right? So my energy was usually more towards play. I was not a very serious, and I'm still not very serious when it comes to how I see myself. I have a very light spirit in terms of how I perceive myself for the most part. And so when I was younger, I always had this attitude where I can do anything, I can do everything. You know, there's nothing that I can't accomplish. And although that's important to have that sense of confidence and that belief in yourself, it's also important to be equally confident and have an equal amount of belief in others, and know how to translate what you think you have, right? And translate the best of that to empower others. So if I could give any piece of advice that the younger generation could benefit from, it's to know what you're capable of, but know that you don't know everything, and to always be able and willing to empower other people, and be willing to delegate and work with other people's strengths, because they make everything better. It makes you better, it makes them better, it makes the work that you're doing better. So just learn to collaborate more. Never believe that you have it all figured out, and recognize that your true success is going to be in your ability to increase confidence in somebody else, empower somebody else, and open the way for other people to demonstrate and to contribute, right, to our world, to our society. So that would be one piece of advice that I wish I had taken to heart more when I was younger, starting this community work. We were 23 when we came up with the idea of starting Camp Khalil. And at that time, we were the parents of a 1-year-old. So I would say some of the challenges that we have faced in doing community work is always learning how to strike that balance, making sure that we made time for, specifically my husband and I, for our marriage. Make sure that we worked on developing who we were as individuals. I mean, 23 years old, you know, you're still pretty much trying to figure out who you are. So when you're diving into community work, as we did, oftentimes you may lose the, you may not dedicate, you may not make time for really self-development. And I don't mean those external forms of self-development. I mean those internal forms that where you have to kind of reevaluate even the way you think, your perspectives about yourself, maybe undo some childhood traumas that you didn't even know you had. So I think some of the challenges with doing community work is not losing yourself in the service to the point where you're not really taking care of yourself, because then as the years go on, it becomes harder for you to really push through that work when you have unresolved personal issues or trauma or work that you need to get through. So finding that balance between growing yourself, being a young person, being involved in a community, and growing the community and building your family. So that's been a challenge, but it's nothing that, you know, those before me have not had to overcome. You all that are coming up after myself and my husband, you're not going to have to overcome. So just making sure that you address those inner, that inner work. You do that inner work for yourself, and it makes the community work less of a burden, less overwhelming when you're taking care of yourself. Once again, not the external, the internal. And then some of the rewards for sure would be just seeing the gratitude, seeing the pride, seeing the, you know, the love that our community has when we know that we are contributing to something greater than ourselves. So that's been one of the most rewarding things, is knowing that what we're doing is bigger than ourselves, and seeing the benefits in our community, and seeing other young people go out and do great things and be able to say, you know, we contributed in some small way to their success. So inshallah, this has been beneficial, and I look forward to hearing from all the other sisters and seeing all the great work to come after us. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. It's very inspiring, Babaina, but can I just pause and say how wonderful our sisters are looking in their bright colors, even though we're sort of in the middle of the pandemic, stuck at home. I appreciate the sisters for taking time and fixing themselves up for us and presenting themselves, even though it was just for a camera, and we're here at home doing a Zoom presentation. But moving on, we're going to go on to our next presenter, which our next person that we're highlighting, which is Sister Precious Rashida Muhammad. Sister Precious, for most of us, we wait until we're older in age before we really appreciate the importance of documenting our history and appreciating our history. But Sister Precious began documenting and appreciating the history of African-American Muslims at a young age. She's an independent scholar, and her works and her presentations and her awards are numerous, too numerous to list here. But here are some of her accolades, some of her training, some of her presentations. But she's mostly known to us in the Muslim community as the history detective for her vast knowledge of the African-American Muslim experience here and her documentation of that. As I say, so she discovered a forgotten 222-page autobiography of an African-American Muslim that was who served in the American Civil War. So I'll let Precious give us her viewpoint, and you can listen to her.
Assalamu alaikum. I am Precious Rashida Muhammad. You ask, what motivated me to move into action to serve my community in the way that I do? And I can only tell you what I've told others about my Virginia-born children's recorded message of love and peace to all of humanity on the first day of school a couple of years ago, despite their living in a state where the Confederate flag sometimes flies high. On front porches, on bumper stickers, on bandanas of grocery store shoppers, etc. Yet my children began with greetings of peace, followed by a message for all kids to have a good day at school, and ended with, and we love you guys, and all the Muslims around the world, even the ones who aren't. My children being among the fourth generation of Muslims in my family. You ask, what motivated me to move into action to serve my community in the way that I do? And I can only tell you what I've told others about a prayer that when my father first heard me say it, he called it a song. He'd say, sing that song for me, Rashida. And my 7-year-old self would sing, La Bega Lahuma La Beg, La Bega La Sharika Laka La Beg, Inna Alhamda, Wan Niyamata, Laka Wal Mulk, La Sharika Lak. Words of worship I learned on Intervale Street in Boston, next door to Masjid Al-Quran, at a school named after Sister Clara Muhammad, who'd once told Detroit police officers who wanted to arrest her for homeschooling her children, including the little boy who'd grow up to become Imam Mu'adh Muhammad. She told them, I'll die as dead as this doorknob before I allow my children to go to public school. And now there I was, a little African American Muslim girl in one of the roughest neighborhoods in Boston, chanting in Arabic, "Here I am at thy service, O Lord, here I am at thy service, and thou hast no partners. Thine alone is all praise and all bounty, and thine alone is the sovereignty. Thou hast no partners." I'd keep going until I'd wear my little self out. Because of my Muslim school not having to be subjected to Boston public school desegregation experiments, I being among the third generations of Muslims in my family. You ask, what motivated me to move into action to serve my community in the way that I do? And I can only tell you about a memory I've told others of my parents in Alabama in 1983. My father is sitting in a chair, my mother is lovingly leaning over his shoulder, and they are reading the Quran together in the same house that as a child my father ran out of in the middle of the night, terrified because there was a cross burning out front. But in this moment, they are fearing nothing but Allah, they being among the second generation of Muslims in my family. You ask, what motivated me to move into action to serve my community in the way that I do? And I can only tell you how I've told others about my grandmother born in South Carolina, not too far from where old Lizzie Gray, an African-born Muslim woman enslaved there less than a century earlier, was known to forever say, according to her enslaver, Christ built the first church in Mecca and his grave was there. Clearly, with this repeated, coded utterance, she was trying to hold on to whatever vestiges of al-Islam she could, whatever way she could, considering her dire circumstance. Not in her wildest dreams, I imagine, could old Lizzie Gray have imagined that one day a descendant of enslaved Africans born in the same state where she'd slaved would be able to complete the Hajj in Mecca, visiting the first house of worship, the Kaaba, which she'd never forgotten. That descendant being my grandma, Rahima Sadiqa Abdullah, she completing the Hajj in 1979, she being among the first generation of Muslims in my family. You ask, what motivated me to move into action to serve my community in the way that I do? And all I can tell you is it is you. It is all of us together. It is the souls of people whose peopleness, as one scholar put it, was fired in the crucible of America's racism, fired in the muck and the mire of America's racism, and they still came out standing, wanting to know God, wanting to know how is God to be worshipped and what is the right religion. I started out wanting to tell the stories, to tell their stories and the stories of their descendants, because I knew how much people don't know. And it's dangerous. Ignorance is dangerous. So I aim in my work not just to empower, but unite and build a community across divides through telling true stories well told. So now I carry the full diversity of the American Muslim community's true stories well told to a diversity of people, places, and spaces, including museum exhibits and lyric essays, speeches and book chapters and encyclopedia entries, to White House officials and to journalists, leaving our footprint not just for today, but for hundreds of years from now, so people might understand who we were and how we loved humanity and how we, like so many others of different faiths, struggle to make sense of our lives through religion. That's the fierce urgency of my now. That's what I do. That's why I do what I do. That's what motivated me, the hope for a more understanding world for all of our progeny, yours, mine, and beyond. That urgency is what motivated me to move into action to serve my community in the way that I do. For as Imam Muhammad once said, The highest purpose for human life and existence is community life. And that is why my motto is building community through history. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam. The first time I heard Sister Precious's recording, it gave me chills just listening to the passion with which she spoke and the passion with which she does her work. So inshallah, her words have inspired someone here today. Going further, our next two sisters we will focus on the culture of our community, and they give back through servitude, through culture. And that is Salima Shahid and Sister Fatima Salahuddin from Muslimat Collective. Salima herself was born and raised in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and she's the founder and president for Muslimat Collective, a 501c3. The 501c3 organization, Salima and Fatima have created a national movement for Muslim women's empowerment. The funds that they raise during their annual Beyond the Veil fashion show go towards local and national causes helping women. They both are very active in the local community through our education initiatives for women and children, both with young school-aged children. So they're very active in helping with weekend school, our Eid celebrations. And so all these fall outside of the realm of Muslimat Collective. But the works that they have done with Muslimat Collective has gained their appreciation from the community, as well as many of the sisters in our community. So let's hear from Salima and Fatima around why they have chosen a life of servitude.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Salima Shahid. I am the founder and president of Muslimat Collective, a 501c3 nonprofit organization based in Houston, Texas. Muslimat Collective was founded in 2016 with a mission of cultivating social community amongst women. I was motivated to start Muslimat Collective because I wanted to create social spaces where women could build and connect with one another. For me, community is an extension of family, especially for those who may not have family close that they can connect to. Moving to Houston myself, I found community and family when I had traveled here alone. It motivated me to cultivate community for other women, regardless of where she comes from, what she looks like, and who she may or may not already be connected to. It is my hope and striving that women looking for a safe, welcoming, and supportive community can find it at Muslimat Collective events and programs. The character traits that I have found to be most beneficial to community work is persistence and consistency. Results don't happen in an instant, nor do they happen overnight. Building or cultivating anything worth having takes time. I've learned if something is beneficial and worth it, you have to commit to showing up and doing the work regularly, despite the challenges. In time, the work you cultivate will bear rewards, if and as Allah wills. One of my biggest struggles is patience, and community building requires patience. The work is long, hard, and full of challenges. Sometimes you're not even sure if you're making a difference or if it's worth it, but you have to believe in what you're doing, and you have to have faith that it will be all right. Otherwise, you'll give up too soon before you get to see the beautiful results. And I have found much beauty in this work. One challenge of building community is getting help and support. This work can be lonely at times. Sometimes it feels like you're the only one who can see it, the only one who believes in it. The feeling is real, but it's not true. There are others who believe in and support what you're doing. You got to be willing to find them. And oftentimes, you will find those who can't see it, and that's okay. It may mean that you haven't really convinced them, or they weren't meant to see it. Either way, it's okay. Move on to the next. Allah will send you who and what you need to be successful. And when He does, be grateful. Thank those who have supported you. Honor their gifts that they have given you. Don't waste it. For he or she that is grateful, Allah will give them more. Yet there are so many rewards. What you do is important and a game changer. You get to make a good difference in the lives of others. You get to see things improve, or you get to see new things come to life by your work, by Allah's permission. You cultivate skills and gain new friends. You get all of this while doing what you love or what you're passionate about. The one piece of advice that I wish I would take more often is to pace yourself. There's so much work to be done. You can't nor should you do it all. Take breaks. Ask people for help. Do what you can with what you have and ask Allah for everything. Don't hurt yourself or your loved ones trying to take on more than what you were meant to bear. Your contribution is good enough, and Allah knows all, and He can do all things.
Alhamdulillah. Now we'll hear from Fatima Salahuddin.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Fatima Muhammad, and I am a founding member and organizer for Muslimat Collective. My mother has definitely influenced me to serve in the community. As a child, my mother helped in the kitchen by selling dinners and volunteering at local community centers to decorate for Black History programs. She definitely instilled in me the need to serve my community. I do believe as Muslims, we all have a level of responsibility for our community. I believe Allah inspires us with the ideas so that we may improve the community in our own unique way. How you choose to define that service varies person to person, however, it is all necessary. Prior to Muslimat Collective becoming an organization, the idea or motivation was to create women-centered spaces that supported women to exist and fully express themselves, where their values were supported and encouraged. My motivation was to create inclusive spaces for the sisters in our community who are fabulous and unique and could be fully represented. Commitment is a character trait necessary to the success of any group. Anyone who has planned events knows that things change, they become uncomfortable, and sometimes it requires you to dig deep. Always have faith and push through. When you are committed, you become focused and adaptable because you are committed to the success of the events or organization. You have to be so committed to the goal that you are willing to take the necessary steps to make it a success. I think commitment is one of the traits that are key to taking up service and vital to the success of any organization. Some of the qualities I've had to develop / nurture in order to grow have been creativity, communication, and public speaking skills. Public speaking is something you can be called upon to do at any time. Start preparing now. Being creative is not something I considered myself prior to Muslimat Collective, but it has required me to develop that skill in order to be effective and grow. Communication is also something that is necessary in order to be effective, whether you're dealing with sponsors or recruiting participants. You have to be able to communicate in all the different forms, written, verbally, and it just makes you a better leader and communicator and just more effective all around. One thing that I would advise, and might be obvious, but I would suggest that people work in areas that they have a passion for. Long term, it will be more productive. You'll make you more productive and more effective if you do something that you enjoy. A personal challenge for my family is finding childcare during events, which my husband and I are both participating in. Many times it is either him or myself who has to care for the children. So it becomes an issue when we're planning events. So one of the challenges that I would make, and a suggestion I would also make, is having childcare for all ages at events, because this is definitely an area that would help women to be able to do more and be more effective in helping the community by having that type of support. Also, I would suggest that I would say another challenge is finding balance as a woman, a wife, mother. A lot of times women, we tend to leave ourselves last. I think that finding balance is important and it looks different for each person. So I would suggest that you don't forget to take care of yourself. It's important. Thank you for having me. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. So as you see, a lot of these women are young women, but they're still dedicating and they're finding a way to dedicate time to serve the Ummah. Our next sister that we'll highlight is Sister Najia Kirk Abdullah. And Sister Najia has a passion for helping believers of those whom have transitioned onto Allah with their final rites, the rites of ghusl, as well as the rites of shrouding. And she's dedicated her life to training other sisters in the Ummah to perform these rites. She's proven to be an invaluable wealth of knowledge and compassion for loved ones who are transitioned, and her attention to detail and insistence that the ghusl and shrouding rites are performed correctly and properly or her trademark. And she regularly trains sisters here in Houston to perform the ritual just to ensure that the skill is carried down throughout generations. Sister Najia is originally from California, and I'll let her tell the rest of her story in her interview answer rather.
Grad courses. I admired my family and had a special attachment to my oldest sister, Martha, 16 years my senior. At 6 years old, I was flower girl in her wedding. I had forgotten to drop the flowers as I was walking down the aisle. A family member whispered to me that I had done so I grabbed a handful of flowers and threw them backwards. I think that was pretty innovative for a 6-year-old. In our traditional Southern family, younger siblings were subservient to older siblings. Although there were 2 sisters between us that were 10 and 12 years older than me, she was the one I admired most. She was pretty, successful, funny, and spent time with me. So when I found that she had cancer, I was devastated and could not fathom her having such an illness. I would not talk about it. I'd leave the room if it came up in discussion. She eventually maneuvered taking me to a group therapy session with her, and it was instrumental in helping me to cope with my fear. I, introverted as I was, spoke to the group, stated my fears, and became part of the love and understanding that these survivors shared. I also started having a confidence in speaking in groups of strangers. 18 years later, my sister succumbed to her illness after having weathered it for quite well. Within that time, I became a member of masjidwdm in Oakland, California, and I was introduced to a sister there whom had shared the process of burial preparation during one of our meetings. This sister, Khadija Shaheed, may Allah have mercy on her soul and bless her, eventually performed the ghusl for the mother of a young imam we all admire today, and that's Imam Suleiman Hamid, Imam of the Atlanta Masjid of Al-Islam and co-owner of Hajj Pros. His mother's name was Saliha Hamid, principal of our Clara Muhammad School at the Masjid al-Wardin for many years. Sister Khadija lovingly cared for gentle Sister Saliha through to her transition, even taking the time to remove the plaits from her hair. I was quite impressed. Similar in this process of preparing the deceased for burial, this may sound kind of strange, but there's a change in the countenance of the body. It can look lighter. It can look more at peace. There was a time when we were washing the body of an elderly sister, and a non-Muslim wanted to assist. She was the sister's niece. And she stated, "You all may think I'm crazy, but it looks like my aunt is smiling." This from a woman helping to prepare her aunt for burial. This is not only a joy to witness, but the feeling of heightened spirituality is comparable to that of fasting or making Hajj. I have worked in corporations all my life, being of service in many ways. I have learned patience, and patience is caring. The act of smiling and showing compassion is key to jobs requiring that you work with people. That and the art of attentive listening. Yes, there are challenges which will be present when being of service to the community, your own community, or that of those whose language is different from yours, or those whose culture is different.
Thank you, Sister Najia. And lastly, we have Sister Shahida Sharif, who's the co-founder and owner of Hajj Pros LLC. Sister Najia just recently mentioned Hajj Pros. Sister Shahida has led hundreds of believers, if not thousands, on Hajj and Umrah on the Umrah journey. Her female experience and knowledge is especially key in helping the sisters navigate and complete their rites. I know for me personally, when I attended Hajj in 2018, Shahida's presence, along with a couple of other the experienced Hajj guides, was invaluable with helping us sisters adapt and cope to the various different terrains and living conditions under which we were going to be living during the Hajj period. But in her bio, she's spent 20 years of service also in the Claire Muhammad school system. She currently works as the communications director for the Atlanta Masjid of Al-Islam, and as we mentioned earlier, the co-founder for Professional Hajj and Umrah Guides, also known as Hajj Pros. She's a certified doula, and she lives in Atlanta currently with her husband and 2 children. So we'll let Shahida talk about her motivation for her life of service using or through Hajj Pros and assisting those who are attempting to make Hajj or Umrah.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Shahida Sharif, and I'm so excited to be here with you all. Thank you to the Sisters Halakha of Houston for the invitation. So, the first question, what motivated you to move into action to serve your community in the way that you do? What do I do? Alhamdulillah, I've had the pleasure and the honor of serving our community on Hajj and Umrah as a guide, as well as taking students abroad for study in the Middle East, as well as in North Africa. And what really motivated me to do that was we went on Hajj a long time ago, alhamdulillah, in the early 2000s, and Umrah as well. And we had very challenging experiences. And even as a student who was speaking the language and immersed in the culture at the time, for us to have so many challenges and difficulties, we were like, what would that be like for our community coming from America, not speaking the language, not understanding the culture, and coming for this spiritual journey. So alhamdulillah, my husband and I have been serving the community through our company Hajj Pros. And I would say some of the characteristics that have helped us along the way is having a lot of patience, a lot more patience, and some more patience. And in addition to that, being intentional, having that purpose and that understanding of why we're doing what we do, always at the forefront of our mind and in our hearts, has really helped us along the way. And then just being ourselves, being authentic, being sincere in who we are, and even with our strengths and our weaknesses, being able to face ourselves on Hajj as well as in service to the people is truly a testament of bearing witness to who you are as an individual at the core. And so when you talk about being a community builder and the experience that comes with that is that you have a potential for challenges as well as rewards. And so one of the biggest challenges I would say is burnout. You can really get exhausted and have fatigue along the way. And so you really have to ensure that you are always fulfilling yourself and filling yourself back up at the source, right? You can't exercise this type of muscle without replenishing it. And just like with any other exercise, the spiritual muscle is the one that is going to get us through and push us over to the finish line so we can return to our Lord pleased and well pleasing. And so when you have an opportunity to be a community builder, know that while it comes with its challenges, it also has great, immense rewards. Being able to serve the people, to experience just prayer, life, work, service, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the people, like side by side, in the trenches, pulling up sleeves and rolling up sleeves, as they say, and getting dirty. It's really a true blessing and a mercy. So while there are those challenges, know that there's far greater reward in doing this type of work. And I would just say, keep that at the forefront, your purpose. Why are you doing what you do? And that this is an opportunity to live out your faith, right? Mm-hmm. We can all be in isolation. We can all be out by ourselves or be with our friends or those that we get along with all the time. But when you're in service to the community as a builder and doing it for the sake of Allah, sincerely from your heart and with your full effort, know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to bless you a reward that is greater than anyone or anything can even imagine possible. So the abundant blessings we've experienced in this work and this service has been a humble blessing and reward. So I would say, yes, there are challenges, but look for the reward, look for the good, and tap out sometimes and get some help. But always go back to the source and replenish so that you can continue to serve, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. Alhamdulillah. So I would really like to sit here and relish in the words that all of these sisters have shared with us this afternoon. But, there's a point to this, right? So what legacy will you leave as each of these sisters have gone down separate paths, different paths? They have found a life of passion around serving their community. We can talk about the pioneers of our community and how those sisters trailblazed a lot of opportunities for us, especially in the African American community. But the question is to you, the audience: what future do you see or do you visualize for yourself, idyllically, for yourselves and for your family? And then, what are you currently contributing to that idyllic future? What skill sets do you espouse that you could put to use in your community? Good at fundraising, grant writing, you're an educator, you're a physical therapist, information technology is really important. Are you a family therapist, household organizer? You would be surprised as to the skill sets that are necessary and that we need within our communities. So say, okay, I'm interested in starting a life of servitude. Where do I start? Sister Shahida said, you find, and Sister Fatima said also, begin with pleasing your Lord in mind and start where you are, but also start from a point of passion. So is there an area where you have an affinity for or passion for? It could also be aligned with your career path. If you're an educator, such as Baina, she uses a lot of her skill sets that she uses in her career to help her in with her youth opportunities. Team up with other like-minded believers who have similar ideas as you, and split the work up. And then study your religion and practice the art of taqwa for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for times of encouragement, because even our dear prophet needed encouragement, as the ayats here show from Surah Ash-Shar, where the prophet needed encouragement. And then once the encouragement was over, Allah instructed the prophet to go about performing the work of Allah again. So for us as Muslim and as believers, we should be attempting to do this in our daily lives. So for those of you who may be watching us here in the Houston area, we're in the middle of a pandemic, but inshallah, we will have our community center, Ibrahim Kamaluddin Community Center, erected soon. And we will be back smiling in each other's faces and giving each other the greeting and going about the business of the building our community. So these listed on the screen here is a list of current initiatives that we have, or groups that we have, that if you see an area where you have an affinity for and you want to jump right in, we're going to put a link in the comment section. so that you can fill out a form. It's a Google form. Fill out a form and let us know what area you're interested in giving back, in servicing Allah and servicing your community and helping us and create that idyllic future for our children, for ourselves once we're older. As we age, we need to have events and activities and a social structure for us as aging adults. So here's some areas where your skills can be utilized. This is the link to the form that we'll put it in the comment section. But just stop and think about ways in which you as an individual can contribute. A younger generation of African American Muslims need to feel inspired and supported, men and women, to move into action. So especially during this time of isolation, being the norm, Islamophobia is rampant. It can be it could seem unavoidable to sort of stay to yourself and say, well, I won't, I'm just going to stay to myself. I'm not going to get involved. There's a lot going out in the world today, but, and I'll stay under the radar. But Quran, Surah 57, Ayat 18 says, indeed, those men and women who give in charity and lend to Allah a good loan will have it multiplied for them, and they will have an honorable reward. So, inshallah, our program today has left you feeling inspired and has left your cup filled. There were several sisters that we reached out to. Most of the sisters, including those that were presented today, are very humble in their service to Allah. And they're not here to toot their own horn, but they're here to inspire others who have so much more to give that may be shy about giving and reaching out to the community and starting a program that you've had that you think would be beneficial for us. So we want to encourage you. We want you to feel inspired, and we want you to take action. So inshallah, you found something useful today, and I'll turn it over to my back sister, who's also a sister here, Sister Latifa Muhammad, for announcements. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Thank you, Sister Sandira, for a very beautiful program. Everyone, this concludes our Taleem celebrating African American History Month 2021 with our African American Muslim women history makers. Thank you so very much. We appreciate you, Sister Sandira, and we appreciate the sisters highlighted today, the sisters highlighted on our program on Wednesday, and just all of our sisters around the world. And definitely, specifically in Texas, in Houston, Texas, our Houston, Texas Ummah. So we appreciate you all. Thank you so very much.
All right. And Sister Latifa, if I can make an announcement before you go into the community announcements.
Absolutely, Brother Ahmed.
And so I just want to make sure that everyone is aware that our community has been given an opportunity to go ahead and register for the COVID vaccine. Inshallah, this vaccination will actually occur next Sunday. So for those volunteers, our frontline workers, your friends and family, everybody's encouraged to go ahead and register below. We still have a lot of space available for people who are looking to go ahead and get vaccinated. Many of our senior imams have already been vaccinated, and that is one of the conditions that is going to be required for us to get back to a sense of normalcy and be able to open the masjid up, be able to see each other again in the way that we want. So people who you know within the community have been vaccinated, have gotten their shots. I myself will be attending, inshallah, this particular vaccination. So if you, your friends, or family, there is no religiosity question on the questionnaire. So anyone that you know who is applicable, who meets the conditions, who is desirous of getting the COVID-19 vaccine, please send them the link below, that www.tinyurl.com/WDM vaccine, and have them register. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Sister Latif.
Thank you again. Thank you, Brother Ahmed. Our Winter Storm Relief Fund, for those who were affected by the storm a short 2 weeks ago, If you need assistance, go to tinyurl.com, Winter Storm Help. And if you're able to give financially to help those, go to tinyurl.com/WDM relief. As just mentioned, we have the COVID-19 vaccine available. So again, go to tinyurl.com/WDM vaccine to register below. In-person Juma is available beginning February 26th. So that was this past Friday. Please register at Mercy Community Center, Masjid Al-Quran at tinyurl.com/MCCJUMUAH. Your Zakat and donations are needed. Ways to donate are at the website www.masjidwdm.com. You can also make donations to Zelle, PayPal, and cashApp at $masjidwdm. Your Zakat and donations are also needed at Mercy Community Center, Masjid Al-Quran, and you may donate at the link shown, mercycc.org/donation. New Muslim orientation class occurs every Sunday at 3 p.m. led by Imam Elijah Salahuddin. You may join at tiny.cc/new Muslim class. N, M, and C must be capitalized. Our virtual khutbahs, Juma khutbahs, are held every Friday at 1:30 p.m. Central Standard Time by our very own Imam Dr. Wazir Ali or someone from the Office of Imams. It is live streamed on Facebook and YouTube at Masjid WDM and on Facebook at MCC Masjid Al-Quran. Our Taleem and public address is also live streamed every Sunday at 1:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Again, live streamed on the platforms shown. Our Sisters Halakha is held every second and fourth Saturday from 7:30 to 9:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. To gain access, please email Salima, SALIMAH, COGBILL@gmail.com. This is a sisters only event. Our brothers meeting is held every third Saturday from 7 to 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, and this is a brothers only event as the sisters is a sisters only event. Go to tinyurl.com/WDM brothers. Our fundraising donor wall for the Imam Ibrahim Kamaluddin Community Center continues. Please go to the link shown, tinyurl.com/MWDM donor wall. You may purchase a plaque for $1,000 and it will be recognized by one of the 99 names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al Farouk Media Productions has all of your media needs. Please contact Imam Eugene Farouk at 832-545-9068 or E-Farouk, Farouk, at sbcglobal.net. Again, our COVID-19 vaccines are available. You can go again and register, please, at www.tinyurl.com/WDM vaccine. This concludes our announcements. Again, we thank you for joining us. We pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses us all and protects us all. Our community outreach efforts and programs, to include our virtual programs now, again, are all made possible by your generous donations and continued support. Thank you all very much. Inshallah, you will join us next Friday for our Juma Khutbah, live streamed at 1:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.